Hello, everybody. I'm Stephen Carlson. This is Working from the Heart, our regular Friday support call. And yeah, I'd like to start with a special request, which is a group release on opening to opportunity. It's an excellent idea. So, opening to opportunity. So, this is a group release, and I just invite you to take a moment and allow everything to be as it is. Just take a breath and let things settle. So, our starting point is that desire for opportunity. And notice that wanting opportunity contains a sense of lacking, right? And so I invite you just to open yourself as best you can to that sense of lack. That desire implies the lack. And it's not always a pleasant feeling, I suppose. Well, that's been my experience. Lack can be expressed in the body as a feeling of constriction, cramping. It's uncomfortable. And lack might also express in the mind in terms of thoughts, images, memories, stories. But just as best you can, could you open yourself to that sense of lack, however that expresses itself in your body-mind? Because the best way to change something is to start from what is. And any desire for opportunity implies the lack. So just as best you can you open yourself to any sense of a lack of opportunity? Just open yourself as best you can to that desire, the desire for opportunity, whatever that might mean to you. It could be more clients, it could be a job or a job offer, it could mean dating partners, it could mean many things. So just as best you can, open yourself to that sense of lacking, the neediness, the wanting, the urgency. And notice however that expresses itself. And just check and see, is there any desire to change that? And I would suggest that the answer just might be yes. Any desire to make this different, to make this feeling go away, to change what seems to be in your life, to control. That desire to change really comes from a desire to control, and that really only scratches the surface because, quite frankly, most of us desire to control absolutely everything. But just notice that desire to change. And again, could you open yourself and allow that to be here? It's here anyway. And then check and see if it just might feel personal about you, your lack of opportunity, your desire, your story. And open yourself to however personal it just might feel. Allow it. Then when you're ready, could you let that go? Are you able? Remember, any answer, yes or no, either answer would be acceptable. So could you let this go? And then would you? Are you willing? Is there a willingness? And when? Have a breath or two and just allow things to settle again. And so when we're releasing on this desire to open ourselves to opportunities, there might be the perception that opportunities are lacking in the world. Don't know if you've noticed, but the news these days, the economic news in particular, seems to be rather dark. And a lot of people are predicting doom. And it's very easy to accept those messages. It's very easy to believe that opportunities are not available. A lot of people would be very glad to send you that message. So just notice what signs you may be picking up from the world that there is no opportunity, lack of opportunity, dark times ahead. The gurus are always going to try and push the pain, aren't they? They'll tell you you're doing it wrong, that people in your business are just not having luck these days. So just notice any sense in which the world is not an opportunistic place at the moment. Notice all the feelings that come up in the body in regard to that message. Notice also what's happening in the mind, the thoughts, the anxieties, the memories, the stories. And just for now, could you open yourself to that, all of what's appearing in the body mind? Not forever, just for now. Could you even invite a little bit more? Takes a little courage, but could you even just open further to that sense of a world of no opportunity? And then when you're ready, could you notice any sense of wanting that to be different, wanting to change this? Maybe hold on to this story. Sometimes there's a comfort. It's not about me because the world is terrible right now. That's kind of a cop-out, isn't it? Or notice maybe this desire to push away, right? I want things to be different. And however that shows up for you, could you open even further to that desire to change what seems to be? And notice that a breath would be helpful. It tends to open things up even further. A deep, satisfying breath. And then notice how this just might seem personal. It's that sense of the individual fighting against a cruel and heartless world, right? Notice how this might feel personal. Your story, your hardships, your lack. But again, could you open to whatever seems to be here? Just as best you can and only as best you can. That's always the best advice. It's all you can ever do. And then, when you're ready, could you let that go? And would you let that go? And when? So another part of the lack of opportunity has to do with what's inside of us. And by that, of course, I'm talking about the internal messages. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve opportunities. I always have bad luck. I'm always the first to get fired. And I'm just suggesting some very common ways of thinking. You may have your own messages, or one of those might resonate. Just check and see, is there any sense inside that you are holding yourself back? You are not good enough. You don't deserve opportunities. You're not as competent. You're not as able. You're not as deserving, whatever it is. And notice especially how the body seems to respond to these kinds of messages. The way it responds might be a kind of internal cramping, pressure, discomfort. Very often that shows up in the area of the body from the heart down to the crotch. But not necessarily. It could also be the shoulders tensing up, a headache. There are many ways in which the body responds to these negative messages. So just notice that. And this time we're going to take a slightly different approach. Just as best you can, turn inward into the body and focus on what's happening in the body. The body is, in my experience, a very effective place to work with these kinds of feelings. So open up as best you can to what the body is experiencing. And now, if you're ready, notice that you've given these sensations in the body a name, a meaning, a story, a significance. So what you're feeling, of course, is ... But now, would you be willing to cut that connection? Would you be willing to let go of trying to make meaning of what's happening in the body? And again, these three questions are helpful. Would you let go of wanting this to mean anything? And would you let go of wanting the body's reactions to mean something, to have significance? And when? And again, a breath or two. And notice how things might shift. So when we have sensation in the body connected to some kind of meaning, story, memory, significance, that tends to lock it in. That tends to make it more powerful. But when we let go of wanting this to mean something, that tends to loosen up the feelings. After all, isn't this just energy in the body? And notice what happens when you give that energy permission to do what it needs to do. So let's go back again to the original idea, this desire for opportunity, wanting to open ourselves up to opportunity. And just notice how that might feel, but notice also any change. Things have shifted since we started this release. Take notice of that as well. And when you're ready, just take a deep breath and welcome gratitude. Gratitude is always a good starting point. Notice what you have. Find one thing in your life to be grateful for, whatever that might be. It could be the one remaining client. It could be that one connection, that meaningful relationship. It could mean a piece of good news, anything at all. It could even be just the gratitude for living in a safe environment. Whatever it is, could you welcome gratitude? And notice that as you breathe gratitude, as you welcome it into your awareness, Notice how the body reacts. There may be a sense of loosening up, a sense of relaxing. Gratitude is a good feeling for most of us, if not all of us. So just for now, could you welcome that sense of gratitude? Gratitude for any opportunity that you might already have had or still have. Even gratitude for the abilities that you have that can be useful to others. And just for now, could you open yourself even further to the possibility that all of this, whatever seems to be in your life, in the world, what if all of this is okay? What if it's all going to work out? What if this is whole, complete, and enough, just like this? May not seem like this at the moment, but isn't it possible? How many times have you worried about something which never actually happened? It's a very common experience. So what if, just right now, right here, what if opportunity is here already? Could you open yourself to that possibility? And that's the wonderful thing about life is we never know what to expect or what's coming around the corner, do we? There might be a letter waiting outside in the post box. There might be a friend just about to knock on the door. You never know. You never know. So just for now, could you open yourself to the possibility that all is well? I'm not asking you to make up anything. I'm not asking you to fantasize. You really don't know. And so I'd like to leave you with one thought here, which is this. We have the power to choose our focus. So rather than focusing on any sense of lack, could you open yourself up to the possibility of abundance, wholeness, and completeness? And that feels good. Let's leave it at that just for now. Ooh, I see opportunity. Romy has raised her hand. Would you like to unmute and welcome you to say?
Hi, Stephen. How are you? Haven't seen you for a long time, so it's good to be here. And you made me cry, so thank you very much.
Oh, I hope it's playing in a good way.
In a good way, and also you brought some when you said, "What if opportunity is already here?" It was like a mixed emotions, sadness and gratitude. It's like this week is very emotional for me. Sorry. Oof. My daughter is very sick.
Mm.
And I want to focus on good stuff, I want to be, but when I saw her, she lost a lot of weight. She has this diagnosis of Crohn's disease, and she has this fight within her. So I live 1 hour away from her, and so I'm not right there with her, cannot be quite, and she's bedridden for now. And it's like I feel so hopeless on one side. And I would like to, I know when you were talking about opportunities and what if they are already here and where to put your focus on. And I realized that when I saw her, my mind went into like this negative, thinking what if the worst thing happened? And I don't want to go there. I just want to maybe have some release on that, if you can help me with that.
Of course. Of course. So just a brief word about that. Yeah. Not everything in life is sunshine and roses. Sometimes my daughter does actually have an illness.
Yeah.
And no amount of pretending can make that any different. And ultimately, the reality of this world that we live in is that each and every one of us has an ending.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that carries with it perhaps a heaviness as well. So
Yeah.
start with, we'll just work one on one, but I invite others to follow along. The wonderful thing about this work is that often what one person is working on is what everybody else is working on as well. So just for now, Romy, could you just allow yourself to feel all that is here that you've expressed, how you feel about your daughter, and let it be okay. And by the way, tears are just fine. There's no need to apologize for that either. So just for now, could you open yourself to whatever might be here emotionally?
Yes.
Yeah. And let it fill you because these kinds of emotions always feel overwhelming and they may feel that way, but they don't last forever. So just for now, could you allow yourself to be overwhelmed if that's what's happening? Just allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So often we feel the need to hold back and apologize and pretend not to cry. Whatever's here, could you just allow it? Mm. And breathe deeply. And again, the invitation. Just notice any sense of wanting to control that. Excuse me. Wanting not to express these feelings publicly. Oh my. Not wanting to disturb others with these emotions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Wanting all of this to be different, to go away. Notice any desire to change, to hold this back, to make it different, push it away. Just notice that.
Yeah. It's, it feels like it's like on a roller coaster, and also like it's repeating cycle, it's like it's improving, and when I think like it's going to be well, then like, and I can, focus on myself and my business and everything else, my life,
Right.
it hits again. Like it's like this repeating cycle, and I'm kind of getting tired of it. I want my kids to be healthy, and
Mm-hmm.
it's overwhelming. And yeah, because when they're with me, they heal better, and they get the kind of but now she cannot even come to me because she's so weak. She cannot. I'm in the fifth floor and there is no elevator, and so it's like all of these conditions, it's like I
Right.
really have to rely that on the thought that everything is gonna be okay.
Mm.
And there is doubt there, and there is fear there, and it's, yeah, probably the story of all of it. Yeah.
Right. But notice also what you said that there's that sense that if only you were there,
Yeah.
if only you could be personally available to her. There is that sense of a mother's love, yes, a mother's care.
She also expressed that she wants me there, so yeah, it's like she needs me more now than ever. It's to just for the moral support, and for yeah, for emotional support and everything.
Mm.
Yeah.
But notice also, doesn't that also bring up a sense of I'm not doing enough?
Yeah. The guilt.
Right. Right. Could you open yourself to that guilt, that accusing finger? Yeah. And just allow that feeling to be here for a moment. It's not an easy feeling to handle.
It's when we got divorced with my ex, she got this disease afterwards, and I kind of blame myself.
Mm, right, right. So just allow that feeling and notice also how it's connected to the story,
Yeah.
right? Notice also, isn't there a sense that you're responsible?
Yeah. Because I should have protected her when she was young.
Uh-huh. Well, then, what does that mean? Are you actually God? You have that kind of power?
No.
Mm, right.
But I still have this feeling that I should have done better, that at least I should have tried better. But I was going through my own. I didn't have enough money to buy my own food, so it was the toughest decision that I had to leave my kids with my ex
Mm,
because I was going through my own. I was homeless, and
mhm.
it's like,
Okay. These are the memories and
yes,
the story.
yeah. And I would like
And
to release on this. Yeah,
could you just go into the body and notice what's happening in the body?
there's a lot of grief there
Mm-hmm.
and pain.
Mm-hmm. So let's just go completely into the body as best you can. Focus
Okay.
entirely on what's happening inside, the sensations. And I mean this, see if you can do this with a sense of curiosity, like an exploration. Just take a moment or two and do that. Look all through the toes, the fingers, what's happening in the head, your shoulders, core of the body up and down the center. And when you're ready, could you let go of connecting what's happening in the body to these memories, this story?
Yeah.
And it may actually feel strange, but what if, just what if, there wasn't that connection? Could you be open to that possibility? That's all it really takes is that
Yeah.
possibility.
Yes. I'm ready. Yeah.
Right. And would you give this permission, whatever's being felt in the body, would you give it permission to be here and to do whatever it needs to do just for now?
Yeah.
Mm. And you'll notice immediately there's a sense of shifting or,
Yeah.
mm,
I see. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So just take a moment and breathe like that. And would you give this permission, whatever is being expressed and felt in the body, would you give it permission to do exactly whatever it needs to do just for now?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And would you,
Yes.
and when?
No.
Mm. And the breath also helps to settle.
Yeah.
Mm. So that may have helped a little bit to shift what's being
Hmm.
expressed in the body.
It's much lighter. Before it was like very heavy and burdened energy on my chest.
Mm.
Uh No, it's gone. It's still some of it like in my stomach more, but not as intense as before. So it's shifted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And notice this isn't about trying to make it all go away.
And
Not sort of trying to solve a problem or snap our fingers and make things differently. It's so much more about accepting what seems to be. Yeah.
just be with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back just a little bit. So the grief was also connected to that feeling of guilt, the sense that
Yeah.
you should have done something, right? Let's go back to that story and just notice the story itself, right?
Yeah.
Notice how a story is constructed. This is very important. You constructed that story from memories,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the way that we do this, of course, is we choose the worst possible example. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of other information that's been completely ignored.
Yeah.
Right. It may have been much more destructive to her
Mm-hmm.
to have you and your ex remain in that destructive relationship. It may have also been a benefit for her to have the separation, the independence.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way of knowing these things, is there?
Yes.
Right. And so we construct these stories as a way of trying to create a favorable outcome, really.
Yeah.
See, do you notice that intent in the story? That's actually trying to,
Mm-hmm.
in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, if you could, is it possible to even experience gratitude?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And notice also how that the story reacts to the gratitude. Yeah. These stories are all about trying to alert us and set us on the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But they're very painful stories, and so we want to push them away, and they just get louder.
Yeah. Like they're on a speaker. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Hey, you're not listening, but I don't want to listen. But hey, listen.
Yeah.
When you recognize the good intent and meet it with gratitude, it quiets.
Yeah.
Heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then the last step of this perhaps would be, or the last step to the support call, let's say, but all of what's being experienced,
Mm-hmm.
isn't this also an attempt to help in some way?
Yeah.
Right. And so, what else could this possibly be but an expression of love?
Yeah.
So, what if all of the intensity of emotion that's being felt about this situation, your daughter, what if all of that is simply love?
Yeah.
It might be a little bit confused. It might be wearing a carnival mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just
But
for
it is.
now,
Yeah.
could you just allow all of that intensity of emotion to melt?
Yeah.
Yeah. And to show its true face, which is love. Because doesn't it really come down to how intensely you love your daughter?
Yeah.
And how does that feel?
Overwhelming, like with love and yeah. So grateful for her. She taught me a lot. Yeah. So
Of course. Do you think she knows that?
yeah, she knows because I tell her every day and show her every day.
Yeah. So, just for now, Could you allow yourself to melt in this love and just be with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that for now?
So freeing and so peaceful. Thank you very much, really.
Thank you for coming to us with this vulnerability and willingness.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Well then. Not too many of us in the call today, and that's quite okay. Would anybody like to? Sam, hello.
And
You are hot.
how are you? Well, now that you were doing the releasing on opportunities, I feel I'm always confused with action, and like I feel lost in my life. Like I don't know what to do. I feel I'm not enough for anything, for any job, or for changing anything, or yeah. So I don't know what to do, and if being like that for like the last 3 years that I don't know where to go, what to do, and it feels difficult. Like to take a decision, I feel is always like wrong what I'm deciding.
Okay. Well, we could work with that then.
Huh.
So we'll do this one-on-one as well.
Okay.
But again, I invite others to follow along because who knows?
Yeah.
So just for now, could you allow yourself to feel as lost as you do, as hopeless, as helpless?
Yeah.
Yeah. And take another breath or two. On a scale of 1 to 10, how intensely do these feelings show up for you? 10 is the most intense.
Like 8, 9.
8, 9? Could you make it a firm 9?
Yeah.
And are you sure there isn't even 9.5 there?
Yeah, could be.
Yes. Look, we're at it. Let's just go for 10. Why not? Could you just allow it to be okay to feel helpless, since that's what seems to be felt at the moment, yes?
Yeah.
Helpless. Notice also any sense that you should do something about this, right?
Yeah.
That should, that pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it possible that's a desire to control?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Could you allow that? Just open to it. There is a desire to make this different, right?
Yes.
Okay. And let's just do this a little bit differently then. Let's just do a back and forth, a holistic release. This desire to control
Yeah.
and that feeling of helplessness. And the desire to control, to make it different. You should do something. The push, push, push. And that sense of helplessness, hopelessness. And the desire to control again. And the sense of helplessness. Here's another question. Which of the two is stronger, that desire to control or the helplessness?
I feel they're equally strong. Like I don't know how, but I feel they're
All right.
yeah.
Right. So what else was it that you expressed? You said that you felt helpless. You felt,
Yeah, like I feel helpless because I've been like pushing and pushing and trying to control, and nothing like seems to work, and not releasing or anything, or yeah.
Mhm. 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 Well, why not do the opposite?
I also try to not do anything.
How's that working?
Nothing. So it seems like I try every way.
Mm-hmm.
Doing, not doing, or doing or not doing, and everything. Undoing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And let me just check. Does that feel personal?
Yeah. 100%.
What about the left? Okay. So just could you sit with that feeling of how personal it seems to feel? Notice how that shows up.
It feels painful.
Mm-hmm. Right. Does all of this show up in the body in more strong
Yeah.
in terms of thoughts and so forth?
Or no, more like a sensation in my chest.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's just go directly into the body.
Yeah.
And could you welcome all that's being felt in the body just as best you can?
Yes.
You know, and even take a moment or two to explore with a little bit of curiosity. Is there a spot that you haven't found yet? It might also help to take a breath or two. And then, when you're ready, would you be willing to just sever that connection with what it means and allow it to be as meaningless as it really is? What's happening in the body doesn't have to have an explanation, a story, or a belief attached to it. Could you just allow it to be meaningless?
Yes.
And would you?
Yes.
When?
No.
Hmm. And get a breath or two. Would you allow it to do exactly what it needs to do? This raw energy in the body. Would you give it permission to be here or to leave or to move or to stay or whatever it needs to?
Yes.
Mhm.
It's a sense of fear. Yeah. Or
Oh, that's interesting. Something else comes. Right.
yeah.
So, could you notice that fear and open to it even more?
Yes.
Right. Right. Now, fear always points at one thing. Do you know what that is?
No.
Shall we follow the chain, Will? Shall we?
Yeah.
The fear is telling you you should take action or,
Yeah.
well, that's a question for you to answer.
Yeah. 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 It's like, yeah, I feel if I continue doing like the same, even if I try different things, like nothing's going to change. Like I should try something else and then change it to something else just to for it to change, like for it to have a different
What if
result.
it doesn't change? Then what?
And I feel I'm going to be stuck forever.
And then what?
Nothing.
Well, let me help you a little bit. If you don't get to work, if you don't change this, then you won't have money, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Then I will live on the streets and I will die.
Exactly. That's the end. Always the end is death, isn't it? Every fear point. So just for now, could you welcome as best you can, open yourself up to that ultimate fear of death? Maybe a challenge. And I invite everybody else in the call to do the same. Every fear points to that.
Yeah.
And yet that is the inevitable part of life. And does that show up in the body, that fear of death?
But I have the opposite, not fear. Like I don't fear death. Like I even want death.
Oh,
Fear of being alive. I fear living. That's
the opposite side of the coin, of course, yeah. There may be even a desire to surrender to the void.
yeah.
Of course. But these are just two sides of the same thing, so.
Yeah. To know how to deal with life.
Right, exactly. So, could you open even further to all that's being felt? Just for now, not forever. Only as best you can. Yeah. And then when you're ready, check and see, is there a desire to change that? Would you
Yes.
like it to go away?
Yeah.
Yeah. And check also if it seems to feel personal. Is that about you?
Yeah.
Mm. But then have a look closer. Can you find the one who feels that way? That sense of the individual? Look inside, take a look around.
No.
Hmm. So, is any of this you? Or is there simply an awareness of sensations and thoughts?
Just an awareness.
And allow the body to breathe as it does deeply and notice how that seems to shift the of what's being experienced, the feelings.
Well, the still there, but
But so
there's yeah.
are they the same as when you started, or
I would say maybe 7.
okay. Hmm. So shifting to that sense of experiencing or awareness, that does actually shift the feelings a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the feelings may persist for a while. They may stick around. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, can you find the one who feels that way?
No, just a sensation.
Mm. Mm. You know, this is a crazy world at the moment. You may have noticed. I'm speaking for the moment. There's so much more uncertainty, chaos,
Yeah.
suffering. Who knows? But what if, just what if, this were really just an enormous opportunity to let go?
No, I like that. Yeah, that sounds very nice.
What else could it possibly be?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking for myself, I was trained as a journalist, and spent a lot of my life and career following the news. And now that's become impossible. It's toxic.
Yeah.
Well, I suddenly find that the only way forward, the only way for me to live uh, a peaceful existence is to turn away from that. Not totally, but for the most part, yes. I can't follow the details of the news.
Yeah.
No.
but that's what I feel like been trying to just follow something else, like, just to find what is that I have to, what is that I'm here for, what's the thing that I have to do, or
Well, have you found an answer to that question?
no.
No. What is the one? Would that be okay?
Well, then may comes there, well, when I'm going to do that, like I need to work.
Well, is it true that you don't work?
No, I do, but I'm not happy with what I do.
Hmm. Okay. Well, may I ask what it is that you do?
Yeah, I'm a software developer.
Oh, okay then. And does that actually do any benefit to anybody? And I mean that in a positive sense. I don't mean this, that may have sounded like a cynical question.
Really? Yeah, well, for the company, yes. For the people that I work for, yes.
Well, of course. I worked for many years in IT, and there are projects and there are projects. A lot of what IT people work on is software that nobody will ever use.
Mhm.
And so if you're working in IT on a live project with lots of users, that's,
Yeah,
yeah. But even if not, you're still keeping a deadline for your colleagues, right?
yeah.
And what if that's enough?
I guess it's just a sense of that I want to feel happy. I like to help people, and I would like to do something like that more. Yeah, I don't know.
What if,
Something.
what if just your presence in the work team, could that be enough?
Yeah.
What if just Sam being Sam is enough? Does
More.
it have to be big and dramatic and serve millions of people? Do you need to be Eckhart Tolle? No.
No. Yeah.
What if everybody were Eckhart Tolle? Who would get the software developed?
Yeah.
And by the way, how could Eckhart Tolle be Eckhart Tolle without having software to, communicate his words, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what if what you're doing right now is enough?
Yeah. There's a lot of resistance to that, but yeah.
Well, that's great. Just notice the resistance.
Mm.
That be welcome. Could that be allowed? Is that what's apparently happening?
Yes.
Right. Right. And could you open yourself up even a little bit more to all that's being felt there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And does that show up in the body, Sam, or is that more in the head?
In the body, there's always sensations in the body.
Perfect. So could you just focus totally on what's happening in the body?
Yes.
Right. And what if it doesn't have any meaning at all? Could you let go of any sense of meaning? Story, explanation, label? Could you?
Yeah.
And would you?
Yeah.
And when?
No.
Right. And so just allow what's being felt in the body and just notice it. And don't forget to breathe.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen.
Sure. But I will say one or two further words because, again, it sounds like you do actually have a job, a place on
Yeah.
the team, some kind of income.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we started this talk with the sense that you needed to do something. You needed to find something different, find something more meaningful.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, that and more money and more. Yeah. and I don't, yeah, a little more and more. Yeah.
So of course, yeah, that's always part of the story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, I have income, but I need more. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so important to understand is that each and every one of us are in the right place.
Yes.
I always like to compare nature. Have you ever seen a tree make a mistake?
No.
Well, how are we any different?
No.
We are products of nature as well, an expression of the world being the world. And what if everything that you're doing, everything that you're experiencing is okay the way it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what if your presence is a blessing to your team? Could you be open to that possibility?
There's some resistance because I think I'm not enough for my workload.
If I put with the only person I ever met who felt that way, Sam.
No. Everyone. Yeah.
Oh, of course, everybody feels that way. But could you be open to that possibility that what I just said is true, that your presence is of benefit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you get your work done?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Do you have a good attitude?
Yeah.
Do you help the team move forward?
Yeah.
Wow. Terrific. You know,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Excellent questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. Well, friends, I think this is it. We've reached the end of the hour. It feels like an appropriate place. Unless somebody else would urgently like to raise their hand, I'm still open to that. I'm so glad that you all came on the call. Love to see you via nice. Great.
I have to report a bit of a weird day because can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Because I was at a meeting where people were sharing a lot of story, and at the end of the evening, I was exhausted, and there was no space around what they were sharing, and it was just, and I saw the value of what we are doing in the Sedona method, that we are how we do it. It's just energizing, and I loved your conversation with Sam. I came in late, and then it's always so calming and healthy, I think. So that's it.
That was lovely what you just said, that you can relate to what Sam was expressing. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
You know, one of the big one big value of these calls, I feel, is that, you know, we come to this work feeling that, yeah, I'm the only one that feels this. But by by expressing courage and sharing this with the group, you know, it's everybody is feeling this to one degree or another. These problems are never unique.
Yeah. Right, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely to see you. Good. Okay. Well, good.
Arrivederci.
Hmm?
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Nice. Good.
Some Italian.
I know. Okay, then I'm just going to stop the recording. I think that's good for the day. Thank you, everybody.